Oh, it's another good week on the PGA Tour. Welcome into DTL Golf, everybody. I am your leader. They call me the coach, and this is the final leg of the Florida swing. And what a first 3 weeks, it has been dominated by one Scottie Scheffler winning at the API, and then this past week backing it up in spectacular fashion. We're going to talk all about it at the Players Championship, the biggest event on the PGA Tour. Now, I got to tell you, as we get closer and closer to the year's first major, there are meetings that are happening, secret meetings in the Bahamas. We'll hit on that. And also this week at the Valspar, the course in Innsbruck. It is the star every single time they show up. The Snake Pit, we'll discuss that as well. We had a really good week as far as our picks are concerned, and I hate to do it, but as we bring in the stars of the show, we got to give our flowers. We got to give our love. Oh, to one fat, look at that big old fat smile in the right-hand corner. Now I know, RD, that's how I feel. We're shaking our head, plus 650. But, hey, he cashed the plus 650. So facts are facts. You pick a winner, you get 15 seconds to gloat on the show. Fast Eddie, the floor is yours.
Look, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to pick Scottie Scheffler. I mean, we could literally pick him every tournament he competes in, and he can win, right? It's a good chance of it since the level that he's playing at. So, but it wasn't going out on a limb by any means, but it was you asked me to pick a winner, and Robert and I did, and I think Steve did too.
I picked him. I just refused to bet him because I didn't like the odds. But I said he's going to win.
Yeah. Well, the odds weren't very good, but
no.
I mean, if you're asking me to pick a winner, Scottie's, he's just head and shoulders better than everyone right now.
But you know what the crazy part is that if people would have waited until Sunday, you would have gotten 4 or 5 times the price if you would have bet him, because he started the final round on Sunday 5 shots back. That's where live betting and really listening to the show, following my guys on social media can pay off, because you would have got, I think it was plus 3,000 to 5,000, and which was still a short price for starting 5 shots back. When Hideki did it at the Genesis, do you know what his number was on Sunday when he started? Like
50 to 1?
It was higher than that. It was 100 to 1, 130 to 1, I think it was. It was like 130
Yeah,
to 1.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So pay attention to live betting. And I like to find a guy that's maybe 5 or 6 shots back that has that firepower to come back. So, Steve, let's start right there. Storylines could affect the betting lines. Scottie Scheffler, and leave it up to Twitter and social media to send out a tweet. I believe the PGA Tour did this as well. He wins the Players Championship. First player to ever go back-to-back in the history of the 50 years of the Players Championship. And all you see is a comparison to Tiger Woods, and that if he's number 1 for 11 more years, he'll match Tiger Woods. How dominant right now with this new putter do you think Scottie Scheffler is?
Well, I don't think, Coach. I know. I mean, he is unbelievable in the final round. I mean, his final round stroke average this year is 65.83. Wow. Which is off the charts, and his overall scoring average, he's going to rival Tiger if he stays on this pace in those low 67s where Tiger established himself. But he hasn't shot over par every round, actually, this year. 27 in a row this year have been under par. And by our good friend Justin Ray on the X, his 27 in a row under par is the longest streak ever to begin a PGA Tour season. And it ties the longest streak of rounds ever under par in PGA Tour history. And you combine that, he had 4 more before that at the Hero World Challenge, which is not an official PGA Tour event. But he is just, he's found his putter now. And you know what? I mean, the statistics say his putter is average. I mean, he's 89th in strokes gained putting, and he's first in strokes gained off the tee, first in strokes gained approach, strokes gained tee to green, total, birdie average, scoring average, everything. He's got over $10 million. I mean, it's just it's an embarrassment of riches for Scottie Scheffler.
The last 2 weeks, he has made $1 million plus for every round he has played. Think about that for a second. Now, RD, as I come over to you, this is a guy that I think many people thought, oh, he's been winning at a record pace. He had not won before the API since last year's Players Championship. But you remember what he did a couple of years ago when he got hot and all of a sudden he's winning 4 times in 6 weeks and he went absolutely bananas? This feels a lot like that, but he needed every one of those 64 strokes. The week before, he was in the lead and still shot a 66 bogey-free. So what do you think Scottie Scheffler has that when he gets to a Sunday, that it's just gas pedal down. I don't care what anybody else does.
Well, the last 2 weeks obviously has been putter. And you said he's been hot the last couple of weeks, but he hadn't won before that. Well, what's he doing when he's cold? When he's not winning? He's finishing third. He's finishing second. He's finishing top, 10 almost every single time. So his putter dictates how he plays. He never hits it bad, even with the bad neck. He hit a few shots on Thursday and Friday that were way, shocking for Scottie. But that aside, he never hits it bad. He never misses wild. He always seemingly is pin high. He knows how to control his distance. And he's fantastic pitcher, which is weird because usually a great short game is a great short game. You're a great wedge player. You're a great chipper. You're a great putter. Off the top of my head, Vijay Singh's the only guy I could think of that hated putting, but was an awesome pitcher around the greens, awesome chipper and pitcher. So if he can just keep that going, and that's what everybody's saying because it's true, keep the putter going mediocre, it'll be fine. And to back up just a little, Coach, I love Tiger Woods. I love the comparisons to today, like, the last 2 weeks he did this and Tiger. I hate the comparisons going forward because everyone in our lifetime is going to fall short. No one is going to do what Tiger did. So as great as Scottie is, it's unfair to say, hey, if he does this for this much more time, he's going to be like Tiger. He's not going to be like Tiger. Forget it. But he's awesome as Scottie Scheffler.
I could not agree more. That's why I was just shaking my head when I saw all these different posts. But Eddie, let's wrap up the Scheffler conversation because here's the deal: is that what I saw on Sunday was really, really cool. And we've heard all the discussions about we want the top players against the top. Even Scottie said it afterward. I want to play against the best every single week, and we may have that coming. But a Wyndham Clark, and he's going to be losing sleep over that last putt, almost doing a 360 and coming out. That's how close it came to having a playoff. But once again, Scheffler put himself in the lead, and he says, everybody come get me. And that's what has to happen in order to catch him.
Yeah, he's just on a different level, Coach. And to kind of follow up what Robert said, and he's putted average, right? The last couple of weeks, he's actually been a little bit positive strokes gained putting. What happens if he putts really well? Like he's going to win, but he's going to go Tiger-esque. He's going to be, 8-10 shot victories. So when I was hanging out with Teddy Scott a couple weeks ago at the API, he said he never hits it bad. He flushes it every single day. And I think with the neck issue he had on Friday at the Players, maybe that's why the odds were a little high on Sunday for him to come from 5 shots back. But he felt pretty good on Sunday. Went out and shot a bogey 364. But he's having that type of year. But I agree with Robert. There's only one Tiger. We're never probably going to see anything like that again. He's just from a yearly stroke average perspective, yes, he's right there. He's a little bit better than Tiger right now, but we still have 6 months to go. But we'll see. But he's gonna have a heck of a year.
Yeah, I mean it's absolutely bananas. But I like the fact that he is one of those very, very, very few cats that is not scared of winning multiple times in a row, not scared of winning multiple times in a season, and that's why you don't see the 8, 9, 10 win seasons that Tiger had back in the day. Because it's just so hard to do. And a lot of guys get scared. That's the bottom line is. Paul says, so basically ladder Scheffler on everything available. Got it. Well, there you go, Paul. And I guarantee you the next number, if you got this at plus 650, he's going to play in the Houston Open. I think it's still called the Houston Open. And he's got one start left before he gets to Augusta. I would be shocked if that number is any higher than plus 600 or plus 500. That's about as low as it gets. Now, gentlemen, before we get into our picks, there was a big-time meeting that happened. And why would you just stay where all the players were on Sunday and just meet there on Monday? It's not like, Steve, you and I saw all the buildings they have there at TPC Sawgrass. It's not like they couldn't have, put it on the schedule. Can I have conference room B on Monday morning? They could have done that. Whose phone is that? Damn. No, that's what Howie Schwab does that all the time. He's like, so funny. The legend Howie Schwab.
That's Yasser Al-Ramayan calling.
There you go. RD, are you on this committee and we don't know about it? And they don't want you to
Good Lord, don't give that up.
I'm sorry.
That's why it had to be like Geneva Convention on neutral ground in the Bahamas. We can't go to Switzerland.
So for people who don't know, a bunch of the new PGA Tour policy boards, since they got this $3 billion investment from all these different businessmen and sports owners in the country, they flew to Bahamas. And it was confirmed on the ground, Tiger's own jet, a PGA Tour jet that I'm assuming the other players don't have their own jets, Steve, were on. And then you had the Yasser, I always mess his name up, you can say it, his jet. We're all three there. Why? I have no idea. But they're discussing what an agreement can look like, which they discussed some 7 or 8 months ago. First of all, why do you think they went to the Bahamas? Second of all, if they bring more money in on top of that $3 billion, I think that we're going to see some type of situation, not where they merge with LIV, because it's not LIV, it's the money that supplies LIV. I think we will see some type of agreement where we have certain events where the top players from LIV and the top players from the tour, more so outside of the majors, get to play against each other. Do you or do you not agree with that?
I think that they'll definitely be out there and be competing against each other at some point soon. And all the golf fans in this world definitely want that. And what they're doing over there certainly is that privacy of a meeting over there, and without all the American journalists trying to snoop in on it and see what's going on. But yeah, it's there's these meetings face to face are super important. We heard that last week during Jay Monahan's press conference that he flew over overseas to meet with all of them and the SSG group representatives to Saudi Arabia, I believe, back in January. And the face to face meetings super important. It's just it's one of these things where these players. They do want to play against the best, just like Scottie Scheffler said, and all these players, they definitely want to do that. And look, we're going to see it. We're going to see it at the Masters. We're going to see it at the PGA Championship. But I think the golf world wants to see it a lot sooner than that. And we're just going to have to play that waiting game. Jay Monahan didn't tell us a whole lot last week. He said a lot without saying a lot. So we're just kind of buying our time until we do get a final answer.
And I think that we've seen, because Yasser is on several boards of American companies, and every time he shows up, whether it was on MSNBC, RD, or anywhere else, it's like, you can always have a perception of things in your head, and then you actually meet the people behind you. You're like, wait a second, maybe they're not so bad. Maybe that's a pretty good guy. Rory McIlroy went on record as saying this guy wants to do good for the game. And if Rory's saying that, and they're all meeting with this guy and trying to figure it out, then maybe, as Steve said, we are a little bit closer than what we think to having the world of golf at least somewhat back together again.
Well, if they weren't trying to get it close to where they were before a little bit, what's the point in Rory saying what he said? Because it's a 180 from what he said in the beginning. He's totally changed his tune. What is the point, Coach, of this meeting even happening if two things aren't on the table? One is a series of tournaments, and maybe it's under this new code, the new deal that is the for-profit entity of the PGA Tour, but where we get a handful of tournaments where everyone is playing against each other, the best versus the best, not on the major ground. And you also you need to get for them golf rankings somehow. You need to give them a promise. Their players, who Al Ramayan and everyone else, Greg Norman, promised their players, I guarantee you'll get in the majors. No problem. You'll get in world golf rankings. And without that, some of their best players, including Joaquin Niemann, aren't going to get in majors. I mean, Joaquin got in the Masters from a special invite. So without those two things on the table, I don't see a point to the meeting whatsoever.
I agree with you. And RD, if anybody's watched Netflix, the season 2, the first couple episodes, it's all LIV versus tour. It's all the certain guys. And Brooks Koepka doesn't have to worry about anything. DJ doesn't have to worry about anything. John Rahm doesn't have to worry about anything. But then it falls off. And if they'd even do internal rankings, can you imagine? Somebody in the chat says it, Zach, PGA versus LIV, like a Ryder Cup. Could you imagine on one side, DJ, Brooks, Joaquin, Patrick Reed, Cam Smith. And on the other side, Rory, JT. I mean, we've never seen that before because Rory's always on the other side and Rahm's always on the same team as Rory. When I think about that, I would be down for that. What do you think?
I would totally be down for it myself. I think that's unbelievable. I love the team competitions too, like that. Ryder Cup, President's Cup. Although President's Cup isn't usually as competitive as I'd like to see it. But I mean, of course, I would love to see that. But we just got to see. We got to see something because we cannot, either side, have LIV totally separate and just plucking, cherry picking with billions of dollars top players away from wherever they want and taking them away from the viewers and the fans.
And they just disappear. Eddie, your thoughts?
I agree. Something has to happen sooner rather than later. It has to come to, it's going to come to a head. And like Robert just said, they're going to be cherry picking players. Who's to say they wouldn't offer Wyndham Clark $200 million or $300 million? I mean, the way he's playing, I don't think Scottie's going anywhere, but you know, some of these players who are offered that, they probably know something's going to happen between the PGA Tour and LIV or the PIF. And you can't really blame them because they're going to have to come together at some point, because it's going to, with Rahm going, I was shocked when Rahm went. You heard the rumors, but when he actually went, it was like, wow, that's a big one. So I just think some of these bigger name players on the PGA Tour is like, well, maybe I should go, since we know that there is going to be a partnership between PIF and the PGA Tour and some type of world tour, whatever happens. But yeah, I think it needs to happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, Goats in the chat said John Rahm was asked about the players, and he said, quote, that tournament should no longer be called the players. It should be called some of the players. I have no time for John Rahm right now. I love him. I have no time for it. And a lot of people, you got to remember at home, you got to divide the number by 4. So when Brooks Koepka got $100 million, that was by 4. $25 million. There's going to be several players that making the $15 to $25 million a year now with this new scenario. So just going and grabbing a check and saying, oh, it's life-changing money, not for everybody. So I'm done hearing, let's just grab the money. How about playing in big-time golf tournaments? So I want to wait, guys, to see what they're going to do. But I'm with all of you. I'm tired of the money grab because I worked with a billionaire before, very, very closely. I was on his jet every single week, and you guys know who I'm talking about. And I remember having a conversation, and he was like, you can't count your money forever. In fact, it's very, very boring to do that. You got to have purpose when you get out of bed in the morning. What are you doing? What are you trying to do? And if you're a golfer, are you trying to play overseas 12 times a year? Are you trying to play in front of nobody on the CW? That's a network, by the way, guys. It's called the CW.
Yeah, I watch Gilmore Girls on CW. It's great. Reruns.
All right, let's get into our picks for the week. It's the Valspar. It is the final leg of the 4-leg Florida swing. And so far, it has been a really good run. But we start one of 5 different categories. And I believe, Eddie, last week that you split this. And what most books will do if you have a tie, 2-way, 3-way, they'll just split the odds up that way. You had Wyndham Clark, did you not, as a first-round leader last week right here on the show? Yes?
I did. I picked Wyndham just because he was playing so well, and obviously the way he's rolling it, and he bombs it. So I picked him, and he tied with 3 other players. So I think he was plus 5,500 last week. So you're looking at plus 1,850. So yeah, if you threw $50 on it, you won $925. So, or $100, 1,800. So it was good. It's my picks this week. Sam Burns, how well has he been playing? Outside of the 76 he shot on Sunday at the Players, he's plus 2,800 for first round leaders. He's 8th in birdies per round. He's made 12 straight cuts so far. He is due for a win. Loves it there. 2-time champ in 21 and 22, finished 6th last year. I don't know how you can't pick him. I'll be talking about him later in the show as well, but Doug Gim as well. That chip in on 17 was Tiger-esque. He almost gave it the Tiger fist pump, but he's plus 5,500. I really like him. 6th in strokes gained average, 68.84, which is pretty stinking good. Last 5 events has not finished lower than 16th. So after, I believe it was Amex, where he missed a few cuts in a row, he's figured something out. So He's his lowest strokes gained total in that span is plus 1.62. Last 30 days, third strokes gained total plus 1.91. 12th strokes gained tee to green, 20th strokes gained putting. So he is he's on a roll. I have a feeling he's going to have a really good week, Doug Gim.
You indirectly just made my point for me. I've been telling the tour for years, you got to make stars more than just 15 deep. All those good stats by Doug Gim, I had no idea. And guess what? Neither did anybody else. Let's go. Let's make some stars. Damn it.
Yeah,
all right,
let's go.
Steve Scott, this guy right here, I think in the last 12 months, Nick Taylor has become an upper echelon cat. And it seems like every week now, if he's not showing up, that it's a surprise. Talk to me on the first round leader.
Well, Nick Taylor really he had a great week last week, other than the front nine in the third round where he shot 40, and that was a big disappointment there. He was 10 under through 2 rounds, and he was in great position to have a nice weekend, and just slipped up there on moving day Saturday. But he's fourth in first round scoring average, which bodes really well. He gets out of the blocks really well, and he's got that kind of killer's mentality. He's a great putter. He's 11th in putting this season and 12th in strokes gained approach, which I think are really important factors here at Innisbrook. And Innisbrook is not the longest golf course in the world, which suits Nick Taylor. You have to kind of play to certain positions on this golf course. Innisbrook is not the traditional Florida golf course. This is more like a course in the Sandhills of North Carolina. It's got elevation. It plays through the pine trees. It definitely doesn't have all the penalty areas and the water that we've seen the last couple weeks that are majorly in play. There's a couple holes, but overall, the water is not the key feature at Innisbrook. It's the cool terrain, the working it through the pines there. And you've just got to hit some good solid shots, which Nick Taylor does. So, I think he's going to get out of the box pretty well, and I'm going to pick him in a few other things as well.
Yeah, he already won this year in Phoenix, and if you didn't watch it last year, the finish of the year, in my opinion, at the Canadian Open, where he made that 65-foot bomb and the place went absolutely bananas. RT, let me come over to you, big boy, because you've taken the long shots and you put first-round leaders at the top of the page instead. Talk to me, big boy.
Kind of some long shots for sure. But, I like Brendan Todd. I liked what I saw of him at Bay Hill with my own 2 eyes. Bay Hill was a very tough golf course, long golf course, and Brendan is not long at all. But he finished tied for 6th. Like Steve said, this is a position golf course. This is a course where you hit the fairway, kind of hit the right parts of the green. The greens are small, very fast down grain and slopey. So controlling your ball is important. And Brennan is this season, he's 19th in fairways hit. And I look back, that's the worst he's been in 5 years. So he hits some fairways. He can play from the fairways to these spots on the greens. Great short game. And then this one might have been a bet with my heart a little bit, Coach. Joel Damon. I don't know. He did finish T11 at Players. He's coming back. But did you see the come to Jesus moment he and his caddy had? It was beautiful. Now, it was on a private jet. So it shows that even guys on private jets have the desire and tears flowing from both of them. Like, enough of this BS. We got to get our game together. And for you, I promise I'll do it. And 1 weekend, we've already had some good stuff from Joel Damon. So I would love to see him play well. Maybe it's a little bit bet with my heart, but I still think it's a good bet based on what I saw last week.
Well, I got to tell you, when you shoot 10 under over the course of 2 days on TPC Sawgrass, normally you're going to leapfrog a lot of guys, and that's exactly what he did. There's not going to be very few guys, or very many guys, I should say, that are going to be featured on both seasons of Full Swing on Netflix. He is one, because he's such a good story, so self-deprecating, but at some point, he's got to tell himself, RD, I am a world-class player, and I belong here. And I don't know if he's got there yet.
You're exactly right. And that, I think, is a step going that direction. Mm-hmm. You know, the tour needs the clown prince sometimes. They need the jokester, the guy that rips his shirt off. That's fantastic. You think back at Trevino throwing a snake at Jack Nicklaus in a playoff for the U.S. Open. You'd need that a little bit, but your game's got to back it up too. You cannot be just that. And his game at times has backed it up. Let's face it. And at times it hasn't. So, yes, I think that it's time, and he realizes, his caddy Gino realizes it's time to kind of pull the slack up on that playing part, let the other part slide a little bit.
And enough of the dad bod jokes. There's a lot of young cats coming in great shape. Oberg, all these young guys, Tom Kim. He knows he's got to start working. Yeah, got to do it. All right. If you guys watch DTL Golf every single week, then you know that I say head-to-head matchups are our bread and butter. You only got to beat one other dude. This is the only bet that I recommend doing a full unit, whatever that is. If you're a $100 better, then these are your $100 bet. So here we go. Number 2. Head-to-heads. And Eddie, come over to you, because there are 2 guys that you like this week that have had a pretty good start to the season. However, I'm going to wait for your explanation on Brian Harman, and I might have to burst your bubble. I'm just saying. Talk to me.
All right. We got Christian Bezadenhout minus 105 over Aaron Rai. This is on BetMGM. Tied for 13th at the Players. Last 30 days, I like to kind of look at what players have done the last 30 days. He's 13th in strokes gained total, 16th in strokes gained putting. Of the players playing this week, he is 5th in strokes gained total at plus 1.51 and 3rd in strokes gained approach. For the season, 14 events, 7 top 20s and 4 top 10s. So he is really playing a solid year, over Aaron Rai. His first time at Valspar over the last 30 days. Bezadenhout is more than a half a shot better in strokes gained total and more than a full shot strokes gained putting. So, and he has a little bit more experience on this golf course. He's played here once. I hope you don't burst my bubble here, Coach. Brian Harman plus 105 over JT. I'm going with the hot hand. He tied for second last week. Heck of a player. And as Robert mentioned, this is a position golf course at Innisbrook. I just played there in the Chi Pro-Am a couple Mondays ago, and it is tailor-made for Brian Harman. Second in strokes gained total to Scottie the last 30 days. 3rd, tee to green. 4th in approach. I mean, he is playing some of the best golf of his career. It's almost like that British, the Open Championship was a huge lift to his career and the confidence. And we all know confidence goes a long way in golf. JT missed 2 out of the last 3 cuts. So that's why I picked Brian Harman.
I agree with actually everything that you just said. And everything you said was absolutely correct. But let's play a little game. Let me ask you a question. You give me a number.
Okay.
Of the last 6 appearances at this golf tournament,
I know.
How many times did he make the cut?
Not as much as JT. Probably. JT's had a good run at the Valspar, but I'm going last, last few weeks. I know.
That's why I said I was bursting the bubble. I didn't say the bubble doesn't exist.
Look, I can see the argument. I absolutely can see the argument, but I'm going with, this golf course. JT missed 2 out of the last 3 cuts, didn't play very well last week. He actually started off pretty well, and then he kind of went.
He sure
did. Right in the pooper, but
it was a couple of bad holes. You probably saw your ego.
Yeah.
Did you see that ego from TJ Parker? I didn't really want producer man to show you that. But there it is right there. Yeah, he's giving you credit. You got 2 winning tickets. Blah, 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 blah. We get it. He's picked 2 winners this year. Look at RD. He's over there like, I'm tired of hearing about the winners at Fast City. I'm done. All right. 2 good ones there. Seabass and Brian Harman over JT. So, Steve Scott, let me come over to you because you've got 2 dudes. And I'm sure your thought process is about knowing this golf course, and I'm going to let you give your take. And then, of course, Nick Taylor's been red hot. Give me your 3 here. I absolutely love these.
Well, I think that what we talk about here, course history matters on this golf course. And we'll start with Sam Burns at plus 150 over Xander Schauffele. He's got a penchant for the high number a little bit, does Sam Burns, but they've really come at those Pete Dye golf courses, and most notably PGA West. And last week at TPC Sawgrass, he made some double bogeys on that 18th hole, where those 18th holes are very similar, water all down the left. And he loves to hit that fade and kind of start it left and work it from left to right. But this golf course, I think, favors the power fade, and he can start it. The holes that are really dangerous on the back 9, the 13th is a par 3 with water kind of short and right. And then the 16th hole, same thing with water right off the tee. He can start it on the generous side and just work it back towards the fairway. So I like that shot shape. And he's just he's got the great history on this golf course. Couple victories, back-to-back victories, as a matter of fact. Xander, I really feel like he's playing this. There were some of those guys who played last week who were going over to this PGA Tour meeting that withdrew. Patrick Cantlay being one of them. He was going to play this week and decided not to. Xander Schauffele, he's got a lot of heartbreak from last week. That was a tough pill to swallow, bogey in 14, 15, missing that great putt opportunity on 17, and then not hitting it in the fairway and birdieing 18 to tie it. He had that tournament in his hands, and he let it go. He's licking his wounds, as he said. So I think Sam Burns is going to be all over this one. And so I definitely like Burns, and that's a really good number right there to take Xander Schauffele down. Taylor Moore, another victor last year. Could we have back-to-back victors again? We saw Paul Casey do it twice. We've seen Sam Burns do it twice. Can Taylor Moore do it twice? I'm not sure if he's that type of player, but Patrick Rogers, a little better on the West Coast. I just like Taylor Moore and the fact that he's going to come back where he's got some great vibes on this venue. That minus 110 there. And minus 120 for Nick Taylor over Eric Cole. Eric Cole has kind of stalled out a little bit. His bubble burst a little bit. Although he's playing very consistently, he's missed 2 of the last 3 cuts. So he's not really on that heater right now. And I think definitely Nick Taylor, this golf course fits him for all the reasons I mentioned before. But Taylor is really solid around here, and his stats are better. Those couple stats in approach and putting are better than Eric Cole. So I like Nick Taylor here over Eric.
Oh, my God. You talk about out of sight, out of mind. I hadn't even heard the name Paul Casey.
Yeah.
I forgot he was even at.
He won 2000. He won 18 and 19 here.
Yeah.
This course,
Tiger.
This course, and when you're taking all your picks, everybody, the course history, these guys go back to back. It's a horses for courses sort of venue. So definitely think about that when you're looking at your picks.
There's no question about that. You see that a lot of the time. It's the same guys that play well and play well at the top of the leaderboard. You're spot on. By the way, TJ, you're lucky you're an OG. You're lucky you're a crew member. Big cheesy, I get it. Something about pissing the coach off a little bit feels good. Do you know how many times people have said that to me in my life? But I'm going to let you keep your status, TJ, because I like you. Big cheesy, not so much. By the way, who won the Super Bowl? Anyway, RD, coming back over to you. And there's a reason why you knew that Brian Harman had only made 1 cut the last 6 weeks, because apparently you and Eddie are in lockstep. Explain yourself.
You're absolutely right, but he's not the same guy. This is a guy that is coming over, missing 5 or 6 cuts here, but he wasn't the Open champion then. He didn't make a serious run, even with a nasty start, frankly, to his round on Sunday. Didn't make a serious run at Scottie Scheffler at the Players Championship. It's just the type of game, that you're looking for here. JT was trending, but now he's trending the other direction. Missed 2 out of the last 3 cuts. Had a good run going at Bay Hill, but fell apart, I'm afraid, on the back 9, and then played really poorly last week. And I've got really something very similar going on here, Coach, with Tony Finau. He's played here 4 times. Guess what? He's only missed the cut 3 of those 4 times. But sometimes, Coach, you just got to say to yourself, you got to say, self, am I going to stick my nose out here because I really like what I see and what I feel about Tony Finau? Sure, he's rested. He hasn't played this course in 6 years. So all those missed cuts, they're out the door. They're out of mind. No big deal. He's very rested. Only played Players since Mexico and didn't have a great Players, but there were stretches of really good there. So I think I'm going to see some good stuff. He's going over Sung J M and just not doing that much as Sung J. Let's back up also, because we've all hit this one. If you can get Sam Burns, 2-time winner out of the last 3 years, as a plus 150 underdog, take it. Nothing else needs to be said about this.
100%.
That's just what it's not like he's playing bad. He's had more top 10 or more top 10s than not this season. So he's playing very, very nicely. And then finally, mighty Cameron Young over Minwoo Lee. I'm going a lot with iron players this week. Cam Young's 14th in approach, and he's also trending a little bit. He had poor final rounds at API and Players that kind of hurt him a little bit, but 3 out of 4 rounds were pretty solid. I like the way he's going over Minwoo Lee, who is trending backwards. 44th and 54th the last 2 weeks. And he's also not a fairway hitter. He hits just a little over 50%. And coming out of this nasty Bermuda around Copperhead into these little greens with trees, big pine trees in your way, it is filthy nasty. And I just think that Cameron Young's playing a little better than Minwoo Lee right now.
Now, we got to tell the whole story. Now, what did he finish at the API again there, RD?
Who's that?
Minwoo Lee.
Oh, he played well. He started going, but I think his best was in the 60s or something. Or he missed the cut. He was 0 for 2.
No, I've got to tell people at home the entire story.
He was 0 for 2 making the cut, and I told him what he had to hear.
See, he's already defending himself because he knows where I'm going. Fast Eddie, Steve Scott. It was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable. Me and RD live on the Golf Channel, a little show called On the Range, and they said in my ear, Coach, send it down to RD. He's got Minwoo Lee. The next 3 to 4 minutes was uncomfortable because what my man said, when you look at the record that Minwoo Lee had in Bay Hill, or at Bay Hill, which is the similar grasses around Florida, so which is why he hasn't played well, which is why he's picking against him, RD looks him in the eye, and he tells him he stinks.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what you did. Did you not, RD?
Yes.
You told him you stink.
But just like Bay Hill's Tony Robbins, Coach, sometimes I tell you what you got to hear. Not like Neo. The Oracle told Neo that you're not the one, but it's not because it was true, because that's what he needed to hear to get the most out of himself.
Wow, we almost had to take a commercial break. It was that weird. It was that uncomfortable. But hey, yeah, it was actually very, very funny. And even Minwoo Lee laughed at it. He thought he was like, hey, facts are facts, numbers are numbers. God, that was great, RD. I love that so much. I really, really did. All right, let's move on to category number 3. And this is what we call finishing positions. And why we tell you to scale it back just a little bit is this. Because you could be a Scottie Scheffler. He started on Sunday, and he was outside the top 10. He shoots a 64, all of a sudden inside the top 10. It can be the reverse of that as well. So scale it back just a little bit. We can put anything in here, top 5, top 10, top 20, hell, top 30, even a top 40. So Fast Eddie, I'm coming over to you because when I look at these, you really have guys that you like all throughout, not just matchups, but also in this category. Talk to me.
Yeah, I love for the top 20s, Doug Gim plus 210. Absolutely love that. Like I said before, 68.84 stroke average. He's 6th. And just when I look at players, especially the last 30 days, 12th in strokes gained tee to green and 20th in strokes gained putting. That means he's driving it well. His approaches, are really, really good, and he's putting well. So this is a guy who's figured it out after the AT&T. He's had no less than a 16th place finish. I love him. Top 20, top 10. Top 10, I believe, is plus 400. So I love him right up and down the ladder. Christian Bezadenhout, plus 450, top 10, plus 210, top 20. Again, last 30 days, 13th in strokes gained total. These guys are just, I feel like they're coming into their own. I think with the PGA Tour, with the players now, it's allowing these stars to really rise and confidence. Again, I know I say it all the time, but confidence plays a huge role. Once you start getting on that roll, you feel comfortable where you may have been uncomfortable. And it's just like Scotty's super comfortable, right? Being in the lead, chasing in the lead. It doesn't matter. He's just comfortable with no matter what. So I think that's where these players are in their careers. And this point of the season is just they're comfortable being there. Top 20s, top 10s, and just playing well.
Listening to you talk about about laddering a player brings a tear to my eye. Talk about laddering Doug Gim. Oh, that's beautiful. I probably had some tech issues with my man, Steve Scott. So RD, let me come over to you. Because as I look at you, my goodness, you and Fast Eddie, it's almost like you were doing your homework together the last 24 hours. It's crazy. Let's start with Seabass. Back that up.
Yeah, Christian Bezadenhout, who's somebody I've kind of leaned on this season, and it's done quite well. He's been pretty much steady Eddie. He's a tremendous putter. And I said, I'm going with iron players more this week. I think the guys that can really position themselves on these small greens, not that he's a dog that way, but statistically, he's better putting unless you dig deep. And you look that last week as position course of all position courses, he gained 7 strokes on the field for the week in approach to the green. That is serious iron play right there at that golf course. So I look for him to continue that, coming off that 13th at Players. So top 5 at 10-1 plus 1,000, I think it's a pretty easy bet to make. And then you talk about doing some light laddering. I'm laddering Victor Perez, a guy that, we don't know as much over here. Again, great iron player, very weak statistically putter. You know who else fits that mold? Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy.
Yep.
I'm not worried too much about the putter. He's going to have to make a few putts to get hot this week, but he has been playing pretty darn well. He did tie for 3rd at Puerto Rico, didn't qualify for the Players, so he's itching, ready to go. Puerto Rico was opposite API, itching, ready to go. And then we've got Kashmir Keith Mitchell, a guy that I think just plays well in Florida, hits it great off the tee, a couple top 10s already this season, and a top 10 at plus 400 for a guy that's 7th off the tee and a great iron player. Struggles with his chipping, but getting better. But again, a guy that positions it well, likes Florida golf. I like those odds for a top 10 of Keith Mitchell.
I really, really do, especially at a tournament that does not have a ton of what we call studs. There's not there is Xander, there is JT, there is Speed, but there's not like 10 or 15 like we had last week at the Players. All right, Steve Scott, we're back. Tech issues happen all the time. That's part of remote show, baby. You came back just in time. We're still in finishing positions. You're up.
I'm going to go. Let's start with my top 40 pick right here. Chan Kim, plus 200, a guy you probably don't have on your radar very much. He's an Arizona State product who's made 5 of 7 cuts this year as a rookie. And these rookies, they've got a lot of pressure on them this year because their rookies are not getting a whole lot of starts, but he's had 3 top 30s in 7 starts this year. He's a back-to-back winner on the Korn Ferry Tour last year, late in the year, actually, to get his card. So he's a really solid player. He leads he's been gaining strokes against the field in 5 of the 6 major strokes gain categories as well. Nothing off the chart spectacular, but just a really solid player at plus 200. Throw some stuff on him. Joel Damon for a top 20. I kind of like what I think it was RD a little earlier was talking about Joel and how he played great last week, tied for 11th, plus 350 for a top 20. I really think that he will kind of carry over some of that great play. And he's been working with this performance coach since kind of the end of last year, Chris Bertram, who works for the Canadian national snowboarding team, and Nick Taylor, who we've talked about a little bit and who we'll continue to talk about this week. He found him, and he kind of led him over to Joel Damon. And Joel said if he can get snowboarders to commit to doing backflips off of 30-foot jumps, he can convince Joel Damon to hit 7 irons off of green grass. So Joel Damon is in the right headspace right now. I like where he's going with his game. And finally, Doug Gim. We talked a little about him. Some people call him the Gim Reaper. He's due for a great event. He's due for a victory, I think. Plus 400 for a top 10. Perfect type of golf course. He's got so many great stats going in his favor this year. He's 2nd in scoring average this season. He's 4th in strokes gained total and 11th in strokes gained tee to green. I mean, he is right under the radar, and he is just ready to pop and put it all together in 1 week. And he had some good magic last week. We saw the great chip in on the Island Green. He had a really nice solid finish, tied 16th. So he is against a really tough field there, obviously. So he is ready to do some good damage, I think, this week and carry over that great play.
I'm going to give you guys an image that I know you guys are going to absolutely laugh at because you all know Mark Immelman. Me and RD, we were a team a couple of weeks ago, and we love him. We love him. We work together. He absolutely hates strokes gained the number. He hates it. He hates when people say strokes gained anything. So, of course, I say it more than I normally would ever say it because his head just pops off. And right now, Mark, if you're watching, soak it in, baby. Soak it in. By the way, I'll take this one. Goats in the chat says DK hasn't posted 2-ball matchups yet. What about Burns plus 150 over JT and Spieth in a 3-ball? Coach, I know you hate 3-balls. Then why did you ask, Goats? I'm going to tell you this. Right now, Spieth and Justin Thomas, this is their golf course. They play really, really well here. So if I'm going to take somebody in the 3-ball over 2 other guys, it's not going to be 2 guys that have finished 3rd here, that have damn near won here, even if it's a guy that's won here twice. So I don't like it even at that number, because basically that's the same number that RD gave out Sam Burns against JT in a 2-ball. So that's why you got to shop around a little bit. I wouldn't play the same number in a 3-ball that you can get in a 2-ball. So there you go. All right.
Nope.
Now, I see Fast Eddie over there, and he's been waiting for this particular time of the show. And apparently him and RD have been doing a face-off because they just look like twins in this particular category. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to start with you. You take Sam Burns, then RD, you back him up. Then RD, you're going to take Brian Harman, and Eddie, you back him up. So let's start with Sam Burns. Go.
So really quick on Steve's point, Doug gave him all those great stats. He's number 1 in strokes gained belt length, because I wanted to cut it when he chipped in and the thing was flapping all over the place like a salmon out of water. But anyways, Sam Burns plus 1,200. I mean, how can I not pick him? 2-time winner. He's made 12 straight cuts. He's playing so well. He almost won already a couple times this year. Loves this place. 6th last year. So he's just no brainer at plus 1,200. Kind of like the Scottie pick last week, at plus 600. I mean, 1,200 is okay. Like you said, Coach, you don't like to pick anything under 1,000. So I thought Sam was a really good pick, especially with the way he was playing outside of the final round last week at the Players. And Mr. Harman, I'm big on him this week.
Whoa. Did I not just give direction?
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Did I not just give direction?
You did. You did. Well, I was never the best at listening in school. So
that's right.
Clearly. RD, go.
So I'm going to steal a line from your old foe, the Rock, Coach. And, Brian Harman's missed the cut 5 out of the last 6 times he played here. It doesn't matter that he has missed the cut 5 out of the last 6 times, because he is absolutely a brand new man. He comes in a major champ. He loves it firm and fast. That's what major champions are all about, especially overseas. Guess what Innisbrook is? Firm and fast. Always has been. He's a position player. He is mentally tougher than he ever has been, and I just like the way he's playing. How can you not watch him finish in 2nd place barely, frankly, playing poorly for stretches of that Sunday? He had times where he could have really just kind of let go. He missed a couple putts early, which he hadn't done all week. He hit it into the straw on 6 and had to pitch out. Didn't matter at all, because the cat has gotten mentally tougher than he ever was before. Brian Harman, plus 2,000, to me, easy pick for a winner this week.
I like it. Quickly, Sam Burns, back that up from Fast Eddie.
Well, no, Sam Burns is the pick, I think, this week. Won 2 out of 3 times. Like you said, not a superstar field. The guy's been playing some unbelievable golf this year, just, almost as good as ever, just without the W's. So I can't imagine the vibe's not feeling great for Sam when he shows up this week.
All right, back to you, Eddie, on Brian Harman.
Yes, I mean, it's a no-brainer for me. Plus 2,000, just a great second last week, almost won the Players. And I think just the confidence of all the negativity from all the waggles from the people in the crowd at the Open Championship really gave him a huge boost in his mental state, that he can get it done under that pressure. People are busting his butt and everything else. So I think just the confidence from that, he feels like he can win. And like Robert and Steve said, this is a position golf course. He is a position player. He doesn't hit it very far, but he is absolutely deadly in approach, and he's putting the eyes out of it. So I think it's a great place for him. And I just think those 2 picks, and probably Robert agrees with me, Sam Burns and Brian Harman, are 2 great picks to take it home this week.
All right, plus 1,200, plus 2,000. But Steve, you went in another direction. Plus 3,500 is tasty for Nick Taylor. Let's go.
It is tasty, and I think that when you think about a player who's going to win, right? I mean, last week, you just had an idea that Scottie Scheffler was going to make something happen in that final round. And winners they win. They have a look in their eye and they get it done. When Xander Schauffele was leading that thing last week, and this isn't a knock on his game, he's a great player. But man, it's like that look in his eye, that killer instinct, I like to call it. And Nick Taylor, when he holed that long putt last year at the Canadian Open, and then all the birdies in a row on Super Bowl Sunday in Phoenix to outlast Charlie Hoffman there, he had that look of being a killer in his eye. And I really like that from a guy who's going out there trying to win. He's got a lot to play for this year. The President's Cup is looming in his home country of Canada with a Canadian captain in Mike Weir. He's got so much to play for this year. And opportunities like this on golf courses like this don't come around all that often. And so I think that this golf course, kind of like TPC Scottsdale, where he won, kind of like where he won the Canadian Open last year, north of the border, this is kind of that position golf course like we've talked about. You don't have to be a long bomber. You just have to position it because everybody kind of hits some tee shots on certain holes in very similar spots. And then when Nick Taylor has a great solid approach game like he does and rolls his rock, and he's got that killer instinct to close the deal. And that's what I really like about Nick Taylor at plus 3,500.
Steve brings up a really good point, which is why you got to dig a little bit deeper sometimes, because you may see, the longest drive on this hole. Well, it may be a dog leg right that you have to land it in this spot, and you can't hit it any farther than that. That's why you can't just blindly look at stats all the time. Sometimes, but not all the time, and that's a great example of that. All right, we got to quickly wrap things up. Time for one more segment. And to be honest with you, we probably start with this segment every single week because this is where the winners most of the time, outside of Scottie Scheffler, have come so far this season. The long shot section. So, Eddie, you got two names, and if you're talking about birdies and making birdies, nobody did that better than Sam Ryder last week. Go.
27 birdies, Coach. I think that's a record. He's playing great. Plus 2.32 strokes gained. Mark Immelman. Players. He's putting great, right? He's a at plus 9,000. He's a phenomenal value up and down the board. Win, top 5, top 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever. I think he's playing really, really well. Davis Riley plus 20,000. Now here's a guy who almost won 2 years ago. He finished second and tied 19 the last 2 years. For whatever reason, when you go back to a place that you've played well, I think those good vibes, I think they just come with the territory. So I think this could be a really a turnaround for him this year because he hasn't played well. He's missed a bunch of cuts. But, when you finish second, almost have a win at a certain venue, I think he's going to play well. It's a little more forgiving off the tee. I never realized it is more forgiving than I remember after I played there a couple of weeks ago. So if he can drive it a little bit better, because he hasn't driven it well, his stats are not very good. But if he can drive it better, he's a solid putter. Short game's good. I think he's got a shot.
Yeah, he's a Alabama guy, and Justin Thomas raves about this guy. It says it's only a matter of time, but now he's been out here for a few years, so he's got to start doing things, and that's why his number is at plus 20,000 after a few years, because he really hasn't done that much. But here, he almost won. That's absolutely true. All right, Robert Damron, let me come over to you. Like three guys in the long shot to kind of have everybody keep their eye on. Talk to me.
Yeah, the Goose, Maverick McNeely, of course, has been playing fantastic golf. The last 4 tournaments he's been in the mix on Sunday in 3 of them. And the one that he wasn't, he finished T41 at Cognizant. He still broke par all 4 rounds. We just saw PGA National play with no teeth the way it normally does. Normally the toughest, if not one of the toughest on tour. It really played easy this year. And I just like the way he's playing, coming back off that long injury. Coach, I don't care what Jeff Daniels said in Dumb and Dumber about the French. I'm taking a Frenchman again this week, Victor Perez, a guy that's been playing really well. He hasn't been. Let's just do it since Mark Immelman's calls it up. Let's do it. Strokes gained, approach, or off the tee. In every tournament he's played this season, he has not been negative in either of those categories. So hitting the ball well, positioning it well, which is what we said going into Innisbrook. 3-time DP World Tour winner, so knows what he's doing out on the golf course. And then Andrew Novak. All three of us have taken a little bit of Andrew Novak so far this season. He's been hitting it great. He is at plus 11,000. And before he went into Players, and let's face it, Deep Sea Sawgrass is a bit of a quirky course. It's not for everybody. It takes some learning. Sometimes you just don't like the way it suits your eye. But we can just throw that out because the 3 weeks before, he finished 8th, and 9th. So playing really good, solid golf. And because of his ball striking, Andrew Novak, another great long shot.
And you got to believe that at some point when you have those top 10s, you could make a couple extra birdies, and now those turns into top 5s, and then perhaps into a win. All right, Steve Scott, bring us home. Richie Rowinski, he's been out here for a minute, and from time to time, he shows up.
Richie Rowinski is not a name you want to say many times very quickly. Try to do that 5 times. You're going to have a tongue-tied. But one thing that he is this week, he is a Monday qualifier this week. He did not get in as the past champion. He's playing on the Korn Ferry Tour mainly this year, but he tied for 3rd a couple weeks ago at the Valspar Championship, and then he got in Puerto Rico on the PGA Tour and tied for 18th. He is plus 60,000 this week for a win. And he has won on the PGA Tour before, and he shot 8 under to win the Monday qualifier this week. So obviously he's playing some really good golf. I think you got to put something on him. You put $1 on him, you could win $600. You put $10 on him, you could win $6,000 for a win. Plus 400 for a top 40. I think he's going to get in the top 40 this year. And the last 2 years at this venue, he has finished in the top 30. So he has played well here. This is a venue he likes. I think he's somebody who could really sneak in there and do some damage this week. So go for Richie Rowinski. Just don't say his name quickly.
Or several times in a row. All right, we are counting down, getting closer and closer to the first major of the year. Can't wait for Masters Week coming up. Still got a couple more events to be played in Texas, and we will be here every single Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. But keep cashing those tickets. You got 3 of the best minds in the business. Steve, RD, Fast Eddie, as always, thank you very much. I need my one shot. It's been fun too, Steve. All right, remember, it's time for you to go out into the world. We're mid-afternoon on a Tuesday. If you're watching us live, thank you very much. Shout out to Richard, our newest premium member, as that continues to go. Remember, there's tons of exclusive content already on our premium side. For everybody else, remember, you can't have too much knowledge, because what? Knowledge is power. We want to educate and we want to entertain right here at DTL Golf. So with all that being said, there's only one thing left to do, and I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these Valspar tickets straight to the pay window. My attack group, Lobo, Fast Eddie, my man RD, Steve Scott. Never forget about producer man, always behind the scenes, making the show look like $1 million. We grind for you so we can win with you. It's truly what we're all about every single week right here on DTL Golf. Good luck.